24 games down, 14 to go. The plan for this episode is simple. Finish up our first season in the Premier League. Right now, of course, we are 10th in the league table. Things are looking good. Our focus is solely on the Premier League at this point after we have been bounced from tournament play outside, of course, of the Europa League. So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes in this episode. Of course, we just played our first game against Lille, and it didn't go that well. We simmed it. There was the option to potentially play this other game against Lille as well. I'm undecided because I so desperately want to do well in that tournament, but we might just leave it up to fate. Aside from that, of course, a lot of games to go. A couple of your comments before we get into this, and I will say with both Paulie and Hunter Wick, you're not wrong. We should be even more strict than we were being in terms of the players that we're bringing into the Youth Academy. You are not incorrect at all. Mental Mike as well, bringing up the point that we need to start scouting more traits in particular in terms of, who we're actually scouting rather than being like, oh, okay, let's just go with all. And then, of course, that brings in a shitload of goalkeepers. Pretty much what Mike said. I don't know why I'm repeating what Mike said, but there is that. Aaron Louis, I don't really keep track of anything. I mean, I keep track of player because everyone is so similar. We all, we've only signed high potential players. So we all know that whoever we keep is going to be good. I keep track of age and overall, and that's it. The best players that you would assume off of that. Like you look at CDM at the start of the year, you have Altonen, who's 19 and was a 74, Cordoba and Cano, both 18, but Cordoba was 5 overall points better, so Cordoba's higher up on the depth chart. Things like that. Nothing too complicated. That said, let's get down to business today because, like I said, hopefully we can finish up our first season here. We are going to stay alive for the first 2 games. No jump cuts necessary because I want to see what happens in that second leg. Of course, our first venture into European play with the Europa League. I'm intrigued to see how this goes down. We are, of course, still dealing with injuries. Altonen, Meyer, Clark, all out right now, which is extremely detrimental, to say the least. But right now, our current first team, Montandon up top, will be leading the charge against Newcastle. So let's see what we can do. They're not in the best form. It's kind of weird to say that we should be expecting wins over a club like Newcastle, but we should be. Let's sim this. 3-2-1, and it's a draw. I'll take that. Ove Anderson with the goal. I'm all right with that. Every point helps at this stage of a season. Thank you for showing me an email in which there was no email, as we are ready for this second leg of the Europa League. We're going to keep we are going to keep the training to what it is right now. Trying to get Breen, Sanchez, Roberts, and Bailey up. Sanchez moves on to a 77 overall, so we're looking good on that front. Not sure what player will move in to that spot. Let's do this. We'll sim up to the day. Is there a miracle on the horizon? I doubt this loan offer for Archie Bailey goes through. Again, I find that even the transfer switch, in the squad hub, even that results in me not loaning out players consistently. So I just keep accepting offers until one of them finally goes through. It's a pain in the ass, and they really do need to fix that, but it is what it is. I'm tired of complaining about it because it hasn't changed. So let's see what happens here. The second team isn't full strength. Clark, of course, is out. So more than likely it's going to be Arne that makes it into the lineup. And yeah, I think he's the guy. Arne makes it into the lineup. Bailey will be moved onto the bench, and we'll handle it that way for now due to the injuries. So is this squad good enough to overcome a 3-1 deficit? Probably not, especially with them having 3 away goals. So we can't win this 2-0 in advance. We have to score at least 3 goals here without giving one up. It's an extremely tough task. Even if I were to play this, it would be a tough task. But We kind of were in agreement for the most part. Like, we're still split on what games to play, what ones to not play. I think for this season, we're going to leave it up to chance. Let's do it. I want to play it. I want to bail our team out because I love this squad and I want these guys to have more playtime. But they got themselves into this mess. They need to get themselves out of it. Can we do anything? Maris makes it 4-1 on aggregate. And that is the death knell, barring an amazing collapse. Iglesias makes it 2. Lille, simply too good for our second team at this stage, especially with our second team not being full strength due to the injuries that we've sustained. 3-0 is the final. Lille advances 6-1 on aggregate, and that is where our Europa League journey ends for this campaign. So I'm proud of the squad. They did well. They're just not good enough at this point in time. It would have been better, no disrespect to Lille, but it would have been better had we lost to a squad who's, known as a bit bigger of a powerhouse, but it didn't happen. What I am going to do is sim through probably the final 2 games of this month, maybe even through this game against Wolves. Basically, I'll see you either when something interesting happens or when the new scouting reports are back. The monthly scouting reports are in. Unfortunately, we're down to 12th in the league. We are not in very good form at all. Of course, we started off this episode with a draw against Newcastle. We then drew Stoke. We then lost 2-0 to Arsenal and then lost 2-1 to Wolves. So not a very successful episode thus far. Hopefully we can start to turn things around. I think we're kind of showing how much we miss Moritz Meyer. The good news is we are 13 points clear of Bournemouth, so we're not exactly in danger of being relegated with 10 games to go. And at the very least, that was my goal, is to make sure that we didn't immediately go back down, especially with us being spread a little bit thin in terms of having a ton of tournaments and the Europa League to worry about. So I'll be intrigued to see how things go. As far as what the ownership wanted us to do, they wanted us to avoid relegation. So we have that going for us. Hopefully, though, we can finish mid-table here to get that goal out of the way already. With all that said, let's get to these scouting reports. And again, we are going to be extremely selective, I think, from this point on, as we discussed at the beginning of the episode. So even that, 72-94, even then with Patrick Wilson, I think that's the type of guy that we're going to drop. Ian McKeith, maybe not. I think we might sign Ian McKeith, more than likely. But someone like an Ethan Lewis, he's on the fringe. He's not going to make it. Kirk Murray, not going to make it with that 72, I don't think. Lucas Young is gone. Placido Romero obviously stays. Zahner stays. Keith Hennessy is going to be on the way out. Obviously, someone like Abilo Fuentes is amazing. Baker Bacher. I'm going to drop him. I think anything under an 80 potential is going to be on the way out from now on. Simon Bartos is gone. Max Van Leeuwen on the way out. And that's that. So we're going 80 potentials and up, I think, from this point on. So even McKeith, we're going to hold off on signing. So I accidentally signed Bartos, I just realized. So we'll go ahead and immediately release him. 72 to a 94. Do we have an 80? We do not. So nothing too crazy there. Let's go ahead and release Bartos, because obviously that was an accidental signing. I blame menu lag and menu lag only. So Bartos, sorry pal, but yeah, you're gone. So that's a $30,000 mistake right there, but nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. So the Youth Academy has been whittled down quite heavily. I think what we're going to do again here, 10 games left this season. Let's get into April, and we might keep things live from that point on. So I'll talk to you guys in a moment. As Walter Meyer wants out of the Youth Academy, I have to wonder why, because Tranmere Rovers are in free fall right now. It has been arguably our worst stretch since our first season. We lose 2-1 to Wolves, we lose 2-0 to Burnley, we lose 2-0 to Watford, and now we get to face Manchester City. It is going to be a rough game. Our grades dropped 12 points from this month alone. Moritz Meyer's come back from injury and has been unable to score any goals. It is not been a fun time for us whatsoever. Now, taking a look here, Walter Meyer is a goalkeeper, which, you know, really does complicate things, but he's good enough that we are going to sign him. Whether or not he stays long term, that has yet to be decided because, of course, we have an ungodly amount of goalkeeping depth within this organization as it stands. So we'll just go ahead and randomize the look. There you go, Walter. Walter Meyer, ladies and gentlemen. That is not a good look, but Walter Meyer is within this organization. We'll take a look as we'll also set him up to go out on loan, hopefully, along with the 17,000 other keepers that we have. Needless to say, things are going to have to change. We're going to have to make these decisions, but when you have guys like Graniero, who's looking much better than you and McCutcheon, like McCutcheon for sure is gone. Like, just outright. After the season, he's being sold. He's on loan in Anderlecht. There's no way he stays. Graniero's ahead of him. Graniero's ahead of Budawani. So, more than likely, I mean, if Dragicevic goes, we're probably set up to have Clark, Graniero, and Meyer. Like, it's tough to say, but I think McCutcheon and Budawani are probably the first two to go. And then there's Barry Donaghy, who is neck and neck with Budawani right now. So, I don't know what that situation's going to look like heading into next season. I'm not overly concerned about it. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. What I am concerned about is that our first team is exhausted. We're not scoring any goals right now, and I'm not exactly sure if I want to change up the formation. I'm close to that point where I'm certainly pondering it, but I don't think I'm going to do so for this game. I expect us to lose to Man City, but if it's getting to the point where we are much closer to relegation than I ever hoped we would be, then we'll look to change things up. We are currently 12 points ahead of the drop zone. Funny enough, 2 points ahead of Arsenal. Arsenal down in 16th. So we have that going for us. But we'll see what we can do here against Man City. Not expecting anything. They just drew Arsenal, so maybe we have a chance. Maybe. Ederson and Vogt gets the goal. De Bruyne is still there. Gabriel Jesus, Leroy Sané. It's going to be a rough game. Yep, 3-0. 3-0 is your final. We go throughout, I believe, the entire month without scoring a goal, which is the first time that's ever happened, actually. I don't think we've gone a solid month without scoring a goal before. That is humbling, I would say. And we're certainly in need of some changes, and I think I will probably have to take a look at some formation changes here in just a moment. Not sure what the hell we'd run at this point. I mean, we do have better options than what we've had previously, now that we actually have two decent strikers in Montandon alongside Moritz Meyer. So we have that going for us as, man, Jay Morgan, nothing to easily get you up to the next overall, huh? What about our Nay? Nothing? Come on, fellas, you're not making this easy for me. Anybody in the youth academy? Not really. Galliano, you have to be close to going up, right? 99 ball control, by the way. We run him at left back. Man, we are struggling in this regard. What about Medved? Maybe. I'm going to try Johannesson first. He's a little bit further away. This is brutal. This is brutal. A lot of our guys just not close to taking that next step forward. So I think what we're going to do might just wait for the week. Let's go for Meyer and Lacactus. And we'll see what happens there as we train those two up. That's right, too. We still have Lacactus in the youth academy as well. That is insane how much goalkeeping depth we have as an organization. It's never going to be a problem throughout the rest of the series, I would imagine. So let's head into April. and we'll see what lies ahead. Canada, with an international management offer, I think we are just going to outright reject it. Josh Wilson's going to be out for a week. We'll double check the youth academy, and for now, everybody can stay. There are some overalls I'm a little bit concerned about, but we should be okay. Arne, not happy, you can leave. It's fine. You're not of the utmost importance. We start off this month, by the way, taking on Manchester United, so that's just grand. Super excited for that. Can't wait. Cannot wait to potentially lose this game as well. We could find ourselves in 17th if Arsenal and Southampton win and we lose. It's crazy how bad of a month it's been. It's also crazy how that first A button press wasn't recognized or registered, so that was cool. Loan offer from Mayer already from Brentford, which would be fairly helpful. Let's see what we have here. Owen Watson, 71. Do we have any crazy potentials? The answer appears to be no. So nothing else from England on this occasion. In Scotland, any major game changers? Barry Morrison's close, but he's also a goalkeeper. Riley Wilson as well, I think we're going to reject. I mean, again, we are not necessarily being snobbish about this, but we only want upper echelon players right now, and there's nobody else in Northern Ireland who it makes sense to target. So, in terms of setting up the scouting on this occasion, I am going to take care of the Republic of Ireland. And what we are going to do here, I'm still tempted to go with any because we don't really need anything in particular. So I think what we'll do is probably go, that's actually a tough call, defensive-minded. I think we'll go defensive-minded, attacker, and physically strong. Then again, we need to scout on a winger too. So if we go attacker, defensive-minded, and winger, that should get us everything that we're looking for, right? So let's go for defensive-minded from Ireland, and by popular demand, we are returning to Sweden and Finland. In Sweden, we will look for attackers, find ourselves the next Zlatan, and Mark Barr will be heading to Finland, and you will be looking for wingers, and we'll see what you can find. Now, I do know that the information is out there. I'm just far too lazy to look it up for this episode, but I do know that the information's out there where people have found, like, okay, you know, if you want to search out this region or this location's the best for this type of player. So I do know that that's a thing, and more than likely heading into definitely in the next episode, maybe even later into this episode if I decide to not be so lazy in regards to that, I think we'll make those changes or at least put it forth that little bit of an extra effort. Then again, that for at the very least, I think the last time I looked at that was FIFA 17, maybe 18. So perhaps that's changed, although knowing career mode, probably not. Let's be honest. As Dele Alli scores 10 minutes in, let's just sim the rest of this. Oh my God. With the red card, man down. Luna gets the goal, and we somehow hold on. How did we only give up a single goal to a squad with Martial, Batshuayi, Dembele? Oh my God. Dele Alli and Paul Pogba in the midfield. That is insane. How did we earn a point against Manchester United? It was a crucial point as well, as we are now in a three-way tie. Arsenal ahead on goal differential, but one of three clubs on 35 points this season. So that was a huge, huge draw for us in the grand scheme of things. I'm going to see if I can get Alton up to a 77 while improving his finishing stats, mainly the short pass, power, and attack position as well. And again, we'll still focus on the two goalkeeping prospects. In the meantime, we're not on track. That's a flat-out lie. We are. We are very much on track. We're doing well. Don't worry about it. I still can't help but think, though, if we want that mid-table finish, that a change is going to be necessary in terms of formation. Just not sure what I'd switch us to. I'm not going to say we're overly focused upon attacking gameplay, we'll say, but I'd say it's our strength, at the very least. I mean, the depth that we have on the wings right now, midfield-wise, at least in terms of defensive options, with like Altonen and Cordoba, it's not too bad. I wish one of these loan offers would go through, please. I mean, come on, we all know I could sit here and do the transfer thing, and then it still won't work, and it'll just be a waste. Come on. Huge game against Southampton coming up. This is arguably the biggest game of the episode here, aside from the Europa League matchup, which we pretty much knew wasn't going to work out for us. We have 6 games left this season. We are currently 12 points above the drop zone. So we are all but safe. But in terms of a mid-table finish, we still need to rack up some points here. So this is the type of game that we have to win if we want to make sure that we're not towards the bottom. So let's see what we can do here. Unfortunately, O'Leary will be out. It's going to be Wilson who's in. So we have gone 2 games now without our best 1-2 punch available. In terms of the setup here, I still think we're good. So again, it's like you look at this roster, we could go Meyer and Montandon up top with Kelly on the bench. There are certain players who just aren't getting the same amount of play time. Talk about Kelly and Morgan as attacking options. In terms of midfielders, I mean, the amount of talent we have on the wing is ridiculous. I don't know exactly what formation I would go with if I were to switch out of this. And of course, this is the formation I prefer to play against the AI, but we're not worried about that anymore. So perhaps we go back to basically the diamond formation that we were using before. If we lose this game, and judging by some of the names on their team, if we lose this game against the squad we should beat, then I'll consider changing things up here as we have the lead heading towards halftime, and they score immediately after to start the second half. We need someone to step up here. Moritz Meyer, Ove Anderson, somebody needs to get a goal. A draw against Southampton is not good enough, and it's going to be just that. 1-1 as we continue to struggle to score goals, and without a doubt, we have to look at making changes to the formation. It's just not good enough right now, unfortunately. We're not scoring goals despite it being an attacking formation, which, of course, makes all the sense in the world, doesn't it? I'd rather be losing games 3-2 than drawing games 1-1. But it's just the way it goes in this game. Meyer's been loaned out, or Mayer has been loaned out, so we got that going for us. What exactly are we going to do here? We got a lot of players in bad form, too. You know what? I think that might be the change. Let's get some fresh faces into the squad. What's the worst that could happen? If you're in poor form, you're taking a seat. That's how it's working right now. If you are in poor form, you're taking a seat, and we're going to play the guys who deserve to be in the lineup, including Montandon's going to be stepping up and playing Cam / center forward for us. So I'm not afraid to make these changes. Like I said, we're safe for the most part. So I'd like to think that, you know, changing things up, giving different people opportunity could be exactly what we need. Although from a defensive standpoint, that strategy kind of falls apart ever so slightly. London Kovac, both right backs, but yeah, we'll end up bringing in Kovac here. In fairness, Dragicevic not exactly in the best form either, so I haven't started him, though, in the Premier League this season, so we'll give him an opportunity. Villalaba is in. Let's give Bailey a chance as well, though in fairness, Bailey normally plays... we have a lot of right backs on roster right now. You know what? I think outside of this change, and we'll play Villalaba at left back. Let's go for it. Wilson and O'Leary haven't played a game in a couple of weeks, I think, as a tandem. So we'll see what happens. Why not? A mix and match lineup against Leicester, just trying to get something going, some form of momentum. Let's go ahead and send this Loris Karius between the sticks for them. 3-2-1, and we lose 3-0. Okay, I think I've delayed it for as long as I can. I've delayed making that change to the lineup for as long as I can. We have 4 games to go this season. I wish Altonen would just hurry up and get up to a 77. That would be great. I don't know what formation we're going to go with, but something has to change. So I'll ditch the 4-3-3 because it is just not going our way right now. It is brutal how badly this team has performed. And that's the unfortunate thing. Throughout the season, the team had performed fairly well. But this entire episode, it has been absolutely horrific. Just horrific. So I think I'm on board for the idea of a 2-striker formation. It's that or we go back to the 4-5-1, which benefited us so well in previous seasons. So we'll take a look at a potential 2-striker formation. And in fairness, I'm not sure what it would be, but we need a result here so desperately. And again, that's the problem, though, is we're switching from an attacking formation to pretty much automatically something more defensive. I don't think I want to go straight 5 at the back. You know what? I want to go 2-striker formation, but I'm going to go back to what worked for us for 2 divisions, 3 divisions, really. We found success with this formation. Maybe, just maybe, we can find success again. So unfortunately, O'Leary will be out of this game due to the red card. We can still go with Johannesson, and to be honest, who is missing? There's Wilson. Okay, I had to look for him. Not sure where he is, but Medved, Johannesson, Wilson, and Wright will be the defense. Let's go with Clark as well. Galliano, Richardson. Who else? I think that's it. Yeah, Galliano and Richardson on the bench. Galliano, though, up to a 74. Which is pretty nice. It's pretty nice, I gotta admit. Let's see who else we can get into this lineup, as again, we are desperate for results. So in the middle, I mean, it's gotta be Altonen. I don't really see who else we could start there. We'll play Anderson here. On the right, let's go with Luna, who is, or not, that's fine. That's the one thing that sucks about this formation. Switching players around can be a massive pain in the ass. Up top, Kelly and Morgan, who led us to success for so many years at this point. I think that'll be the way to do it. That'll be the way to do it. If this squad in the old setup can't pick up a win, then how the hell are we going to pick up a win in general? Let's go with Roberts. Let's go with Cordoba. And let's give Berezovsky a shout. And we'll see what he can do. Can this team pick up a win? I have my doubts at this point. We're desperate for a win. This would be our first win in the episode, I'm quite sure. Yeah, we haven't won a game this episode. That is insanity. When is the last time we won a game? Lost to Arsenal, lost, draw. We haven't won a game since February 3rd against Bournemouth. It is April 27th. That is insane. That needs to change. We need to beat Nottingham Forest right now. This has been the worst run of form we've had dating back to the League 2 days as we give up a goal in 5 minutes to Massimo. And I am very much afraid. I don't think it's mathematically impossible for us to find ourselves battling against relegation. We're much closer to the drop zone than I hoped we would be. And we are, I was going to say, very close to getting shut out by Forest. Meyer gets the goal. It is another draw as the winless streak will head into its 3rd month. We're 10 points clear of Bournemouth. So we are safe. We are not getting relegated. The most they can finish with would be 36 points. So we know that we are secured. At the very least as well, we can finish with 46 points. Odds of us getting back up to 10th, though, nil. Like, at best, 12th or 13th. So we certainly let it slip away from us. To draw the last place team, you have to wonder what exactly has gone wrong with this squad, in that we just have not been able to score goals. Altonen finally goes up to a 77. Jesus, it took you long enough. It took you long enough, but there's going to be room for discussion in terms of how we look to shape the team, what formation we run with heading into next season. Arne, you're not going anywhere until the end of the year, and the year's not over, so sit down, shut your mouth, and deal with it. You don't want to sit on the bench? Maybe you should have shown up. Maybe you should have done some damage in the Europa League. Maybe you could have contributed, and you'd still be playing games. That's all you had to do. We are going to stick with this team, which looks nothing like how I set it up. What the fuck, EA? Like, what is up with that as far as it just butchering the way a lineup looks? I don't get it. But this is how the team is going to shape up, with the exception of Richardson being off the bench. We're going to go with O'Leary. So, still running with our strongest overall squad, at least at the moment. But if we lose against Liverpool, which, let's be honest, we probably are, the expectation or the hope is that we at least take a point out of this game. Let's be honest, though, Allison in goal. They still have Salah. Oh, my God, just sim it. 2-0. 2-0. Are we going to finish in 17th? There's a really good possibility of that. We are 2 points clear with 2 games to go over Southampton. From 10th to now being near bottom feeders, as disappointing as that is to say, it is the truth. It's a damn shame, because we started off this season so strong, and now we're looking at things from a negative perspective. There's doubts over this club and what we're going to be able to accomplish heading into next season. Where exactly are we? We do solidify in that we're not going anywhere. It's still, we're still in the Premier League heading into next season. But to have this harsh of a struggle to cap off the year is, number one, unexpected, and secondly, absolutely brutal. I don't want to say downright unacceptable, because in a way I'm not surprised. We never thought this team was going to walk the league. Like, yeah, we're going to win in our first season. Of course not. But are we better than finishing 15th, 16th, 17th? It certainly looked like that was the case for the majority of the season. As we'll see if we have any major game changers here. We start off in Finland, and unfortunately, the answer is no. What about Morris in Sweden? Any major game changers? The answer there, also no. And Kennedy in Ireland finds absolutely nobody, unfortunately. So, scouting doesn't exactly pay dividends for us. Let's see what happens. Again, 2 games left this season. We play Spurs, and I'm not sure who our final game of the year is against. But, yeah, not exactly the easiest schedule down the stretch either. Granted, we have lost to some opponents that we simply should not lose to. But I think at this point, why not change it up, go for something different, and see what happens? That's the plan. Let's try something different. Why not? Just throw something at the wall, see if it sticks. That is the game plan. We're not going with any wingers in this game. We're going to take a defense-first approach to the midfield. And like I said, throw something at the wall, see if it sticks. We'll see what happens. As Bailey is, I believe, the most physical of the group, so we'll play him in the middle, and then again, Meyer and Montandon up top. Dragicevic up to an 81, which, by the way, could spell the end of Clark's, or could spell the end of Clark's time here. Really, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Toby Kelly, I'm not going to start Toby Kelly. As crazy as that is. Anderson's not going to start either. We're going to put Cano there. So that'll be the bench. And defensively is where things could be a little bit interesting, I do suppose. Let's go with Johannesson. We'll take out Luna and put Richardson on the bench. So why not? Try something new, see what happens. Of course, I didn't mess with the strategies or the instructions, but we'll see what happens. Why not? Defense first approach against Spurs. What's it going to hurt? We are pretty much locked into our finish in the table. We could go up a spot or two at the most as Willian Jose scores 11 minutes in, and we end up losing 3-1. Ugh, what a miserable end of the season. We're still in 16th. We need 1 point to secure 16th. We could technically finish as high as 15th, although we'd need Palace to drop points. So, again, not exactly the end of the season that anyone was hoping for. Not by any stretch of the imagination. And as far as what this roster looks like heading into next year, I genuinely don't know. I mean, obviously, the names, the faces, they're going to be the same, but it's a question of how do we shape up? How do we set everything up heading into this next year? What kind of formation do we run with? Because you got to remember, right? I'm sure you're looking at it, it's like, my God, you have no center backs. No, I mean, we're running Johannesson, Wilson, O'Leary, the guys with height. Ed Richardson, Villalaba can play wherever, but is preferably a center back. Like, we're running them at center back. You can't change it like you can in NHL or MLB, for example. Madden, for that matter. It's pretty much the only game that you can't change it. But I don't know. Do we take that defensive first approach? I suppose it'll matter, or the opinion will change depending on what the final stats of the season, depending on the final stats on the season. How everybody did. Of course, the Europa League squad as well. We know they kind of blew it towards the end. Like I said, it just sucks because it's a great season for us. It's a great accomplishment to make it into the Premier League and to not get immediately relegated. I can't overlook that. But we haven't won a game in 3 months. We started this episode, and it has been the worst run we have gone on, I believe, throughout the entire series. Even when we were down in League 2, that first season, when we're focusing on recruiting players and brought in guys like Moritz Meyer, we were never this bad. Granted, the competition level was certainly different, but we were never this bad. As we play Fulham, they're in 14th. We cannot catch them. We know who's getting dropped. It is Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, and I don't know who finished in 19th. But we will play Fulham here. Why is Montandon in the squad? What is it doing? Like, you know me, I didn't play a center forward in a center mid spot. I don't know what it's doing. Why is it... Like, could it be that the game's glitching? So it's like, am I setting up a lineup, but then this is what we actually went with? Or is it just resetting after every game for no reason? I am now genuinely confused. Because that would explain why we're struggling to score. Now, I know when we go into the sim, it's showing that the team's set up the way that I set it up. But, goddamn, I can't help but wonder. We're going to sit our starters. We're going to play Mayer in goal. Bailey, of course, normally plays right back, so he's going to get the opportunity, although we will switch back to a different formation here. I'm not sure what. Let's go with the 4-2-3-1 wide. Why not? So Bailey will get the opportunity to play. Villalaba will get the opportunity to play. And I think maybe, we'll go for London Kovac. Why not? Not sure who's going to play where. It depends on the height. Bailey's 5'9", Kovac 5'10". Let's play Lund in the middle. That'll be the back line for this game. Richardson and Galliano on the bench. Who else can we give an opportunity to? Ewan Morgan. This is his final game here. We're going to try to sell him at the beginning of the next season. Let's get Arne into the squad. That's fine. We'll play Cano. And let's still go with Altonen. That's fine. Breen will start up top for the hell of it. And on the left, let's go with Horatio Sanchez. Why not? Throw a random-ass team out there, see what the hell they can do, and we'll see you next year. Waving the white flag on this season. Maybe the squad will somehow be able to pick up a point against Fulham. If not, we can't say that they've done any worse than the squad has. Can we pick up a win? No, we can't. We draw. It's Anderson with the goal off the bench. We go the final 3 months plus of the season without a win. As again, it's an accomplishment. It was Newcastle who was relegated as well. It's an accomplishment to have made it and not been relegated by 11 points. We were 11 points clear. But we started this episode in 10th. We finished 11 points back of 10th. We did not win a game. 7 wins, 17 draws, and 14 losses. We only scored 37 goals. 55 against. That is certainly not good enough. Does it come down to the talent level? Does it come down to the formation? Does it come down to the fact that, in theory, chemistry would have been a little bit disrupted thanks to injuries to the likes of Altonen and, in particular, Moritz Meyer, especially Moritz Meyer? There's a lot you could blame on our struggles at the end of the year. Point being, though, despite that, despite those concerns, despite questions over formation heading into next season, we're still in the Premier League, and I'm thankful for that. $111 million. Jesus. Not that we need it, but it is pretty nice to have it, I do say. So, let's move forward a bit. Lakatos wants out of the youth academy. We will look to sign him more than likely. Some guys like Placido Romero, Konstantin Zonner, Fuentes, we have some guys here that are going to be signed sooner rather than later. It's just a matter of when and who gets loaned out. And you know what? To be honest, I think that might be the plan. We're going to factor in guys like Romero, like Zonner, and like Fuentes, and that's going to change who the depth options are on this team heading into next year. Just especially, too, with how... I don't want to say how ineffective some of our second-team players were this year, but let's be honest, how ineffective some of our second-team players were this year. So let's go to Mr. Lakatos. And I'm not digging the orange boots, so we're going to go again. Ugh. No. Give me boots that match the theme. That's all I ask. Apparently, once you get pants, you never go back. Oh, no, okay, well, that proved that wrong. Give me boots. We need to color, we need to fit, we need to match the theme here. Please? Or can it be to just get black or green? But there you go. There you go, Mr. Lakatos. You're good. Jesus, that's so dumb. I love how it's like, hey, buy all these boots. Buy all these boots through the catalog, and then we're just not going to use them through the randomize option for some reason. I want to get towards as Thomas de Groot. Thomas de Groot wants out of the youth academy. So that's why I didn't go ahead and sign everybody, because I knew some guys would force their way out. He is a 57 at 16 years old. Ridiculous potential. We will still sign him. I'm waiting, not to save, but I'm waiting to see when the FA Cup has been... the FA Cup still needs to be decided, as does, I believe, the Europa League and Champions League finals. Those will be decided very soon. So we need to stop the sim here. I'm not going to change up training. It's just going to continue to be these guys for the rest of the way. And we'll get a full season recap in before we look to call it an episode. Not sure how long of an episode it's going to be. Relatively long appears to be the answer. As DeGroot accepted, of course. Nice work. You're welcome. Scouted players, don't care. Monthly report, don't care. Thomas Arnay, if you leave, I will not shed any tears. There are replacements, buddy. There are replacements. So we'll take a look. Everything should be set. DeGroff makes it up to a 59, which is nice. Meyer almost up to a 70. So as if we didn't have enough to try and figure out in terms of that goalkeeping situation. There's even more. Let's see what we have from the updates. In Finland, is there anybody of ridiculous caliber? The answer is no. I mean, Tatu Nikki looks great, but no, not good enough for us anymore. At least not at the moment. Anybody in Sweden? No, a couple of 70 low-end potentials, but that's going to be a no. And in Ireland, who do we have? Nobody, unfortunately. Again, we have to be extremely selective at this point. So let's take a look. Again, standings-wise, we know what the deal was. In the FA Cup, it's going to take a second to load, but that's okay. Liverpool beat Man City, so Liverpool get their revenge. They go on to win it all. Of course, we were eliminated in the round 4 replay. So there you go. City beat Chelsea to get there. Liverpool beat Crystal Palace, and then Liverpool won the whole damn thing. I hit the back button accidentally, so count that as another 2 seconds added to this episode. In the Europa League, actually the European Championship's coming up too. The Euros. Germany, Scotland, Portugal, Denmark, England, Belgium, Austria, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, Northern Ireland, and Hungary. Netherlands, France, Norway, and Greece. So we'll keep an eye out on that. The Europa League is won by Tottenham. Beat Bayer Leverkusen 3-1. So Leverkusen made it all the way. We were eliminated in the round of 32. Of course, 6-1 on aggregate by Lille, which appears to be the biggest margin of victory for any squad. So that's embarrassing. Lille ended up being beaten by Sevilla 3-2 on aggregate. Spurs beat Inter to get there. Leverkusen beat Benfica. And then again, Spurs win it. The Champions League goes to Bayern Munich. They beat Manchester United. So United beat Atletico Madrid. Bayern beat Barcelona. So I think that pretty much covers everything. We could look and probably will at the rest of the leagues, or at least the big leagues around the world. Starting off actually in the Championship. Who's coming up? Brighton, Swansea dominated the Championship, and in between Derby, Leeds, Wigan, and Middlesbrough, someone else will be joining them. In France, shocker, PSG wins the league. In Germany, shocker, Bayern wins the Bundesliga. In Italy, shocker, Juventus wins Serie A. Crazy! Who would have thought? The Eredivisie, for the hell of it, goes to PSV. And the Scottish Prem, for the hell of it, goes to Celtic by 1 point. And in Spain, shocking, Barcelona crushes the league. Just absolutely crushes it. So we've gotten a look at everything from around the world. Let's take a look at our squad, shall we? This is what it is at this point. Let's take a look at the stats first. So our goal-scoring leader was Moritz Meyer, just 14 points, 11 goals, 3 assists in 34 games. Anderson with 8 goals, Sanchez, Berezovsky, and Kelly with 7 each. It's not bad. Not ideal. Roberts was up there. Jonathan Kelly, Luna, 5 goals as well. Montandon, 4 goals in 24 appearances. Jonathan Kelly deserved more playtime. No doubt, Jonathan Kelly deserved more playtime. Harrison Wright ended up playing 40 games. Of course, our starting right back, Medved, did okay. Jay Morgan had a brutal season. 2 goals, 1 assist. Galliano, by the way, 6 points for a left back in 18 games. Might not be a left back for that much longer. And then you had guys, I mean, Clark, God, you and Morgan didn't do that well. Arnay, 2 assists in 18 games. And he has the audacity to say he should play more. Timo Aaltonen, nothing. No offensive contributions. That is absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. I'm waiting to see like one shocking name, but that's not going to be the case. So attribute-wise, we do have Walter Mayer up to a 70 overall. You have Barry Donaghy at a 75. Ewan McCutcheon a 72. Graniero a 77. Budawani a 75. Clark and Dragicevic, both the same age, both at an 81 overall. I don't know who the future of this team is right now between the two. And again, as far as backups are concerned, there's no doubt that Graniero leads the way over McCutcheon, over Donaghy, and over Buduani. And Meyer, thanks to that extra bit of training, is probably preferred over Lakatos. So I would not be surprised if we really chop things down here, that we go for probably Dragicevic, who I think is still promising, over Declan Clark. If we can't keep them both, we go with Graniero as the second team option, and the depth option, probably Meyer. So I think Donaghy, McCutcheon, Buduani, and Lakatos are on the way out sooner rather than later. At right back, Thomas Lund up to a 71. Of course, we do actually play him at right back. Kovac, also a right back, up to a 70. Johannesson at center back, a 75. O'Leary at center back, an 81. Wilson at center back, a 78. Archie Bailey, a 67 at 17 years old. Torben Weber, only up to a 70. Not sure what his long-term future is here. Harrison Wright, our starting right back, a 75. Galliano is 75. We've been playing him at left back just to get a look at his attributes, by the way. I mean, you can see strong pace, strong defending, but that dribbling and passing, the physical rate, here's the problem. The physical side, quite low. The work rates aren't great for an actual attacking CDM, but offensively, he's gifted enough. He is also an amazing free kick taker. If we get the accuracy up, the curves are really strong. Ball control, short pass. He's a really interesting player. You have Medved right now, though, who is our starting left back at a 78. Richardson at center back is a 73. And Villalaba at center back is a 70. Sean Bailey up to a 73. Cordoba a 75. Altonen a 77. And Placido Cano a 70. So in terms of who stays and who goes, I mean, obviously Cordoba's ahead of Bailey on that depth chart. More than likely, Sean Bailey is not long for this team. You have Yalman out on loan, a 72. Toby Kelly at a 79. Rory Ross, who did very well before we loaned him out, is up to a 70. Ove Anderson, an 80. Luna, a 78. Of course, our starting right mid/right wing for the majority of the season. Thomas de Groot, who we just signed, is a 58. Jay Morgan, a 77. Liam Clark, a 74. Berezovsky, a 74. Arne, a 74. But again, those two, Clark and Berezovsky, prioritized over him due to Arne being a year older. You have Breen at a 72, Montandon a 78, Meyer an 81. No change to his overall this season. Duarte, a 73. Ewan Morgan, a 70. This was his last season here. No longer a promising player. Jonathan Kelly, a 74. Robertson, 81. Guzman, a 71. Sanchez up to a 77. And Mateo Villalaba up to a 69. How many of these players will remain? I'm not entirely sure. I think knowing what this squad is, knowing what our strong suits are, it still probably makes sense to run a formation that factors in wingers, of course. But what is it? Do we go with two strikers with the likes of Meyer, Montandon, and Kelly up top? Do we still go with one striker to make more room in the midfield, seeing as we have guys like Morgan, like Kelly, Berezovsky, Altonen? There's a lot of talent. We need to carve out what we think this team's going to be good at. And again, this isn't something that I necessarily expected to be an issue, but because of our struggles this season, down the stretch, again, we did not win a game in this episode. You can't help but wonder if that formation change heading into next season is necessary. More than likely, it is. I just don't know what that change would necessarily be. Our focus next year is more of the same. I just completely blanked on training for that 1 week, by the way, too, but I'm not too upset. Our focus next season is obviously going to be improving upon what we did this year and hopefully finishing in the top half of the board, as Archie Bailey has finally been loaned out. Hopefully finishing in the top half of the league table, doing what we couldn't do this year, not collapsing, staying the course, and winning games and finishing in the top 10. That is the goal for next year. Whether or not, actually, I'm going to take that off because in terms of shooting, there we go. That'll work on the short pass. Like I said, the goal's simple. We need to be better. Whether or not we'll be able to live up to the expectations, I don't know, because I don't know what to expect from this team right now. When you have this bad of an episode, it certainly makes you reevaluate things. Arne, there's nothing we can do for you anyway. Let's focus on the boys in the Youth Academy. Placido Romero certainly deserves a little bit of tender love and care. And anybody else? We actually don't have any defensive options there right now. Let's focus on Fuentes as well. Get those shooting attributes up there. So those will probably be the focus for now. Roberts goes up to an 82, which is nice. And we will probably just focus on those Youth Academy guys for the rest of the training session. I'm intrigued to see as well what some of these guys look like at the beginning of next season once they're back from being out on loan. I would imagine we're not being shit-canned here. Our rating is more than likely far too high, but I can't help but be a little bit panicked, just ever so slightly. So Roberts will train you up again because I don't feel like changing it. And we'll get that confirmation that we are back next season, and we'll see what happens from there. Again, still looking for suggestions on where to go next. I will try to find that list of the specialty. We are good to go. We are staying here. I will try to find that list again of what region is good in terms of their specialty, rather than just being like, okay, we're scouting for all. And what do you think, too, in terms of formation? There's a lot to consider. But I will see you guys next time. I'll see you at the start of next season. Will we be able to improve upon what we did this year, hopefully at the start and especially at the end? And is it going to be a good year for us in general, or are we going to find ourselves in a relegation battle? I certainly hope not. Looking forward to your suggestions, your feedback, your hot takes, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, have a good one.